Hello and welcome back again. I am Kiran Ahire and we are discussing the sixth lesson of biology for 11th standard, that is biomolecules. And the previous video we have discussed about the carbohydrates. We are discussing the different types of carbohydrates. We have already finished with monosaccharides. Today the second type of carbohydrate, that is disaccharides. Disaccharides, that is what we are going to discuss today. So disaccharides, these are made up of two sugar units. When two sugar units combine together, they form disaccharides. Okay, so when what happens is two monosaccharides, they come together, they join with each other, they form glycosidic bond. With the help of glycosidic bond, two monosaccharides they join and they form disaccharides. So for this formation of disaccharides, energy is required. Okay, so it's a energy gaining process. Energy is required for the formation of disaccharides. Well, let us discuss the examples of disaccharides in detail. The first example is maltose. Now maltose is a disaccharide which is made up of two sugar molecules, two glucose molecules. Maltose is made up of two glucose molecules. Means two glucose molecules, they join with each other, they form glycosidic bond with each other and they form disaccharide, and that disaccharide we call it as maltose. So we'll just try to understand with the help of this ring structure. This is the glucose structure we have studied. Oxygen, first carbon, second carbon, third, fourth, fifth and sixth carbon is outside, which is branch. Okay, and this is the second glucose molecule. Same way we'll number. This is oxygen, first carbon, second carbon, third, fourth, fifth and sixth carbon is branch. So when these two glucose molecules they combine each other, the bond formed is between first carbon of one glucose and fourth carbon of second glucose. The glycosidic bond formed is between first carbon of one glucose and fourth carbon of second glucose. That is why the bond is named as 1,4-glycosidic bond. 1,4-glycosidic bond. Okay. Now we have studied the structure of glucose previously. The functional group is attached to the first carbon, terminal carbon. So here when this first carbon is forming bond, the functional group CHO, that is aldehyde group, is lost. It is given, and here fourth carbon it has OH group. That is lost. So if you see in both the glucose, one glucose is losing one functional group, but the functional group is attached to the second glucose. In the second glucose there is one free functional group, and that is why maltose is a reducing sugar. Okay, let us discuss the second structure or second example, that is sucrose. Now sucrose is also a disaccharide. It is made up of one glucose molecule and one fructose molecule. One glucose and one fructose, they join with each other, they form bond, glycosidic bond, and they form disaccharide called sucrose. How it is formed, that we will discuss. Again, this is a glucose molecule, one oxygen, first carbon, second carbon, third, fourth, fifth carbon and sixth carbon is branched over here. It's a hexagonal ring. And fructose we have previously discussed. It's a pentagonal ring. It has one oxygen, first carbon is branched, it is outside, second carbon is over here, third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon and sixth carbon is again branched outside of the ring. So here when one glucose and fructose they come together, the bond between first carbon of glucose and second carbon of fructose is formed. The bond formed is between first carbon of glucose and second carbon of fructose, and this glycosidic bond is formed. That is why we call it as 1,2-glycosidic bond. Glycosidic bond. Again, the functional group is attached to the first terminal group of glucose. So the aldehyde group, functional group from glucose will be lost over here. And in fructose also we have discussed, the functional group is attached to the sub-terminal carbon, that is to the second carbon. So here also when second carbon will form bond with the first carbon of glucose, the ketone group in fructose will be lost. So both the functional group are lost here while forming the glycosidic bond in the formation of sucrose. There are no free functional groups in sucrose, and that is why sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. Okay. The third example we will see is of lactose. Lactose is also a disaccharide. Lactose is formed by one glucose molecule and one galactose molecule. When one glucose and one galactose molecules they also form 1,4-glycosidic bond. They also form 1,4-glycosidic bond. Again, from the glucose, one functional group is lost, which is at the first carbon, and the fourth carbon of galactose, it loses OH group. So one functional group from glucose and OH group from galactose is lost. But in galactose, the aldehyde functional group is attached. One functional group is attached in galactose. So while formation of lactose is a reducing a sugar again. Lactose is also reducing sugar because in galactose one free functional group is present in it. Okay. So based on whether the disaccharide, whether it is reducing sugar or non-reducing sugar, that depends on the functional group, whether they are present or not. If the functional group are present while formation of this disaccharides, then they are reducing sugars, and if functional groups are not attached or not present in the formation of disaccharides, then that disaccharides are non-reducing sugars. Now if you see these disaccharides, they are soluble in water. Disaccharides, they are soluble in water, but they are big in size. Their molecules are big. So disaccharides cannot pass through the cell membrane and cannot enter into the cell. So that is why these disaccharides, they are broken down into monosaccharides during digestion of food in small intestine. Monosaccharides, when disaccharides are converted into monosaccharides during digestion in small intestine, then we have discussed monosaccharides. They are small and they are also water soluble. They can easily pass through the cell membrane and enter into the cell. So these are the three examples: maltose, sucrose and lactose. Three examples of disaccharides, out of which maltose and lactose are reducing sugars and sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. Maltose is formed of two glucose molecules. Sucrose is formed of one glucose and one fructose molecule. Lactose is formed of one glucose and one galactose molecule. So this is all about the disaccharides, which are made up of two sugar units. Next video we will discuss about the third type of carbohydrate, that is polysaccharides. I hope you have understood everything what I have taught. We'll meet in the next video and we'll discuss the polysaccharides. Till then, you all take care. Goodbye. Stay safe.